Last September, Starbucks rolled out an AI-powered inventory system across 11,000 stores. The pitch was simple. Instead of employees manually counting every bottle of syrup and carton of milk, workers would point a handheld device at a shelf and let artificial intelligence do the rest. The system was supposedly 8 times faster than manual counting, 99% accurate. A glimpse of the future. Except there was one problem. If you watch Starbucks' own promotional video, the AI misses a bottle of peppermint syrup sitting right there on the shelf. 9 months later, Starbucks quietly told employees to start counting inventory by hand again. At first, I thought this was just another funny tech failure. A company tries something new. The technology doesn't work. Everyone moves on. But then I started digging. And what I found was far bigger than Starbucks. Because right now, some of the biggest companies in the world are quietly reversing their AI plans. And almost nobody is talking about it. The strange thing is that Starbucks wasn't supposed to be a warning sign. It was supposed to be proof that the AI revolution had arrived. At the time, nearly every major technology company was telling the same story. Artificial intelligence wasn't just another software upgrade. It was being presented as the next industrial revolution, the kind of transformation that would redefine entire industries. In January 2025, Microsoft announced plans to spend roughly $80 billion on AI infrastructure in a single fiscal year. Not million, billion. The assumption was that demand for AI would continue exploding indefinitely. Every forecast pointed in one direction: more users, more businesses, more AI, more data centers, more investment. The future seemed obvious, and Microsoft wasn't alone. Across Silicon Valley, executives were racing to secure computing power, acquire AI talent, and convince investors they were leading the next technological era. Since 2022, companies connected to the AI boom added trillions of dollars in market value. On the surface, everything looked unstoppable. But beneath the headlines, something unusual was already beginning to happen, and most people never noticed. The first cracks appeared in places most people weren't looking. While headlines focused on massive AI investments, analysts started noticing something strange happening behind the scenes. Microsoft, the company spending tens of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure, was quietly pulling back. According to analysts at TD Cowen, Microsoft had canceled data center projects representing more than 2 gigawatts of capacity. That's not a minor adjustment. That's enough electricity to power entire cities. Even more surprising, some of the sites weren't just ideas on paper. Land had already been secured. Plans were already underway, yet projects were being abandoned. Letters of intent expired, expansion plans disappeared. And eventually, Satya Nadella himself acknowledged something almost nobody expected to hear. There may be an overbuild of AI infrastructure. Think about that for a second. The same industry that spent years warning us there wouldn't be enough computing power was suddenly discussing the possibility that it had built too much. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a technology story anymore. It was becoming a psychology story. Because markets don't reverse this quickly unless expectations were wildly wrong. Once I started looking beyond Microsoft, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Because the companies making the boldest AI promises were suddenly bringing humans back. Take Klarna. In 2024, CEO Sebastian Siemiatkowski became one of the most recognizable faces of the AI-first movement. He proudly announced that Klarna's AI chatbot was doing the work of roughly 700 customer service agents. The company froze hiring. Its workforce shrank dramatically. The message was clear. AI wasn't assisting workers. It was replacing them. Then, 15 months later, the story changed. Siemiatkowski admitted that the company's obsession with cost-cutting had gone too far. Customer service quality had suffered. And suddenly, human support was once again the path forward. Then came Duolingo, then Salesforce. Different companies, different industries, almost identical reversals. Duolingo's CEO softened his AI-first stance after significant backlash. Salesforce, after celebrating AI-driven workforce reductions, announced plans to hire thousands of new workers. At first glance, these seem like unrelated corporate decisions, but viewed together, they tell a very different story. The companies most eager to replace people with AI are discovering something uncomfortable. Replacing a task is not the same thing as replacing a worker, and that distinction is turning out to be incredibly expensive. At this point, you might assume the problem is that AI simply isn't good enough, but that's not actually the weird part. The weird part is that, in many cases, the AI works. The problem is what happens after it starts working. Take Uber. The company revealed that around 95% of its engineers were using AI tools every month. On paper, that's exactly what AI advocates wanted. Mass adoption, mass productivity, mass efficiency. But then Uber hit a problem nobody expected. The company burned through its entire annual budget for AI coding tools in just 4 months. Not because the tools were failing, because employees were using them constantly. And despite all that usage, Uber admitted something remarkably honest. There was no clear evidence that all this AI activity was translating into value. Then came another surprise. Microsoft began limiting access to Claude Code internally and pushing employees toward GitHub Copilot. Not because Claude performed badly. According to reports, employees preferred it. The issue was cost. The more useful the AI became, the more expensive it became to operate at scale. The question was no longer, can AI do the work, but can anyone afford it? And that's when I started looking for hard data. Not executive opinions, not marketing claims, actual evidence, because individual examples can be misleading. Patterns are harder to ignore. One report that caught my attention came from MIT's Gen AI Divide research. Its findings were startling. The report suggested that the overwhelming majority of enterprise AI projects struggled to produce measurable ROI. Not because the technology was useless, but because organizations had no clear way of measuring whether AI was creating real value. The excitement came first. The business case came later, sometimes much later. Then I found another study from OrgView, which surveyed more than 1,000 senior business leaders. Nearly 40% admitted they had made layoffs specifically because of AI. But here's the part that stood out. More than half of those organizations later acknowledged they had made the wrong decision. Executives were making irreversible decisions based on untested assumptions. And once you zoom out, the pattern becomes difficult to miss. Companies weren't failing because AI was broken. They were failing because they treated predictions as guarantees. They assumed that because AI could perform a task, it could replace an entire system built around human judgment, flexibility, communication, and accountability. This is where the real cracks appeared. The more examples I collected, the less this looked like a technology problem, and the more it looked like a human one. Because AI didn't suddenly stop working. The models didn't become less capable. The algorithms didn't wake up one morning and forget how to generate code or analyze information. What changed were expectations. For 2 years, everyone convinced themselves AI was a replacement. A replacement for customer service, a replacement for software engineers, a replacement for operational decision-making, a replacement for entire departments. But that's like buying a calculator and assuming you no longer need accountants, or purchasing a forklift and assuming you no longer need a warehouse. The tool is real. The value is real. The mistake is assuming the tool replaces the system around it. And once that distinction becomes clear, almost every AI reversal suddenly makes perfect sense. That's when the story flipped for me, because the headlines made it sound like AI was failing. But AI wasn't the thing that failed. The expectations did. Look at what happened. Sam Altman spent years warning that AI could replace enormous portions of human work. More recently, he admitted he was surprised by how little displacement had actually occurred. Dario Amodei warned that AI could wipe out huge numbers of entry-level jobs. Now the conversation has shifted toward augmentation rather than replacement. Even investors like Jamie Dimon and Ray Dalio have started comparing parts of the AI boom to previous market bubbles, not because AI isn't real, but because expectations became detached from reality. The irony is almost perfect. The people who built the most powerful AI systems in history are now spending a surprising amount of time explaining why humans are still necessary. And that might be the most important signal of all. So why are tech CEOs quietly canceling their AI plans? It's not because artificial intelligence turned out to be fake. It's because they expected it to be magic. The technology is real. The capabilities are real. But somewhere along the way, companies stopped treating AI like a tool. They started treating it like a substitute for human judgment. And that's a much more expensive mistake. The AI revolution isn't ending. It's maturing. And the companies that survive won't be the ones replacing humans fastest. They'll be the ones figuring out how humans and AI actually work together. If you enjoy deep documentaries exploring AI, business strategy, and the future of technology, subscribe to FutureNerve, because the future belongs to those who understand it first. I'm Ethan Cole, and I'll see you in the next documentary.